early 1963, and Playboy was looking for a chef. The executive chef and the staff of Playboy was eating in my cafeteria for the whole 3 months that they were there. And I didn't realize who these people were. On this one corner, they always had a place to sit. The whole group of them, every day, 3 times a day. They had breakfast, lunch, and supper there. They went back to the manager and told the manager who they were, what they wanted, etc. She called me, she says, there's some people over here that's interested in you, Bill. And she says, would you have time to come over? Walked into the office, and there's about 9 people, including the manager, in this little office. And I said, oh shit, what have I done? You know, all these people looking, they finally found me out. So then, come to find out, it was this group of people from Playboy, and they were interested in me. She says to me, she says, Playboy would be interested in you to come and open their dinner club. So then I says, well, I feel that I'm not qualified. You know, Playboy's a big name. You know, and I'm not ready for it. So this is, well, let us be the judge of that. The plans were that they would try and put me on a 9-week level, and if I didn't make it in 9 weeks, that I could come back to Monty's restaurant, talk to the chef, talk to the manager, and I talked to the people from Chicago. I talked to all of them. Chicago had decided that they're not going to wait 9 weeks. They have decided to do it now. They took me out of the union. I signed more papers, and they doubled my salary. I started the following morning. I worked with the executive chef, which was Charles. He was a black chef. Hefner has had the idea he could get a white chef anytime and any place. He wanted black chef in all his clubs, which there were black chefs in all the clubs. He was very protective, and he took care of the blacks and the women. He saw it to the women were really taken good care of, you know. And as long as you done your job, you had a job. And I went there and I made up my mind, I'm there to do a job. And that's what I done. In that job, I had many enemies of my own people that worked for me, that tried to take my job. And I didn't know who they were or what, and I didn't pay that much attention to it until later. And come to find out that the executive chef was working with these people that were against me at my own club that worked for me, including his girlfriend, which she worked at the club. And I didn't know that he was going with her or nothing. So then one morning, I go to work, and shortly after I was there, the executive chef, Charles, came. He appeared into my kitchen, and he says to me, Bill, I would like to talk to you in your office. He turned around and looked at me. He says, you're fired. And I said, I'm what? What have I done? He says, you haven't done anything. I just don't like your service, and you're fired. So I said, okay. So I Now, I've signed all these papers now. Now, he can't fire me. The organization has to fire me. He can't fire me. He can put in a request for me to be fired, but he can't do it. But he made the statement that I was fired. So then I go out and pick up all my knives, put them in my case, and wrapped, and everybody just looking, because he had told them that he was going to fire me. On my way out the door, I run into the manager. The manager says to me, "Where are you going, Chef?" I said, "I'm going home." And he says, "You're doing what?" He says, "Come on back to my office." So I went on back in his office, and he says, "Why are you quitting or something?" I says, "No, I'm not quitting. I was just fired by Charles." "Charles? Charles is not supposed to be down here. What's he doing here?" He says, "Do me a favor." I says, "What?" "Go back to your kitchen and you tell Charles that I said, beat it up here, get up here fast." And they fired him. They fired him because they found out that he was undermining me in many ways, and he was jealous. That's what they broke it down to, that the man was jealous. Here, I'm younger than he, because he was in his 50s, and I'm only 35, see? And he was jealous. I was making the same salary he was, to a degree. He was getting money elsewhere, you know. But I was making almost the same salary as he was. About 2 weeks later, they called me. They called my manager first, and they called me. They didn't tell the manager to tell me. They called him first, but then they called me from my office, and they said that they had a surprise for me. And I said, "A surprise?" He says, "But you can't find it out what it is until you get to Chicago." And I says, "Well, I can't leave my job." He says, "You can leave your job. You just pick a cook for your sous chef and be in Chicago tomorrow." And I says, "I'll have to talk it over." He says, "It's already been taken care of."